My name is Ray Knutson, and I am delighted to be your worship leader this morning. One thing I love about this congregation is our use of associated ministers to bring additional perspectives into our church service. Today, we are blessed to have Reverend Kristen Psaki to share her perspective on how emotions play a part in our lives and how we can work with them to our advantage. I want to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's visiting us for the first time. We are an intentional community gathered around our shared promise to support each other's individual spiritual journeys. We don't all believe the same things, and we don't believe them in the same way, but we do share the same values and the same commitment to our spiritual growth. We share the faith that our beliefs become real when we act on them to make the world a better place. And we share the commitment to live a life grounded in community. If you're joining us online, please fill out a visitor form in the description. We'd love to connect with you. And at this moment, if I remember, Carrie is going to talk to us.
Thank you, Ray, and good morning. My name is Carrie Wingert. I'm pleased to serve as a co-chair for the retreat for 2024. I'm just here to remind you that this is your last couple of days to register and sign up to attend the retreat, whose theme is Connecting Bravely. The retreat is hosted in Allens Park at a beautiful retreat center, and there are ticket options to attend just for one day and for just meals with no lodging. So you can be a commuter to the retreat if you like to sleep in your own bed. Some of the sessions are very exciting this year. We have a mysticism workshop, a surviving the election workshop. We have an illustrated guide to the end of the world that will be hosted by Reverend David. It's not as apocalyptic as it sounds. And most of all, we want to highlight that there's so much time for connection and building stronger community among each of us. And I just want to share that 2 years ago, I took my infant and got the chance to take a hike with people who later became really great friends and babysitters and caretakers for my kids. People across the social groups that we have here, and it's a truly intergenerational and wonderful chance to connect. If you have already registered, I invite you to come talk to me about how you can chip in or support the retreat, especially if you're not a first-time visitor. So if you're a multiple-year attendee of the retreat, we want your help in making sure that everyone feels welcome because our church has grown so much. So come see us. My co-chair at the retreat, Kay, is here, so she will share information with you as well. Chris Zanoni is also here, who can help you. Chris, wave your arms. And what am I forgetting?
Did you mention that the deadline is tomorrow for registering?
The deadline is tomorrow for registering. Okay.
When is the deadline?
When is the deadline? Tomorrow. Thank you. We are so excited that we have 120 members signed up, or folks signed up. Yay! It's our biggest retreat in years, or maybe a decade, so don't miss it. Please come talk to us if you feel like you need an accommodation or help signing up. Okay, and back to Ray. I have one more thing. I am also, Becky, where's Becky, is now going to lead our kids out to kid class, where we're going to be talking about how Unitarian minister invented the ice cream sundae. Yeah.
I need someone to take over my job. I'm going to the ice cream sundae. Okay, that was fun. Sort of getting back in the mode now for a moment. I want to talk about our chalice lighting. The chalice is the symbol of our liberal faith. It is the warmth of compassion, the fire of justice, a lamp on the spiritual path. If you're joining us online, I invite you to get your chalice at home to get it ready and ready to light with us. And now I'd like to invite Gary Hurley to light this morning's chalice.
Hello, my name is Gary Hurley. My wife Babs and I first joined this church in 1985, the year of our marriage. After drifting away for a time in the early 2000s, due to the busy schedule of our son's events, we rejoined after retirement in 2016. This church has always held a special place in our hearts. I was chosen this year as co-chair of the Building Design Committee, along with Jenny Fittpeister. More recently, I've been diagnosed with a meningioma, which is a type of brain tumor. On June 12, I had surgery to remove the tumor, followed by a setback, which was presumably caused by bleeding in the brain, and 2 weeks in the hospital. But I'm doing much better now. I expect full recovery, and feeling has returned to my right arm and right leg. My biggest challenge now is recovering from some brain fog and mostly fatigue, both mental and physical, but I am recovering. Thank you. My personal trials have not diminished my excitement for our church building expansion. We have dedicated, talented members on 2 teams, both for the building construction and also the necessary financial support. Both are working hard to make our building expansion a reality. And everyone can contribute to this vision, whether by contributing money, talents, insights, or simply positive energy. I do believe in positive energy. A church is not a building. We could meet in a field under a tent, but it's true that if we build it, they will come. We will build a much larger, beautiful sanctuary with good lighting, good sound and acoustics that will aid in affirming our liberal religious values. We will provide ADA-compliant bathrooms that honor all genders. We will expand our kitchen to provide for a growing membership. We will build a green expansion with the goal of doing no harm to our planet and the interconnected web of life of which we are a part. We will do all these things and more. We can do it, and we will do it. And with that thought, I will now light the chalice.
Thank you, Gary. Whew. Gary signed up, I don't know how long ago, to do the chalice lighting, weeks ago, a long time ago. And at that point, subsequent to that point, then he obviously had these problems. And when I heard about them, I suggested that he deferred this a week or two or a month or two, and I could just reach over and light it. He said, no, I want to do that chalice lighting. And I'm very impressed. And looking in your face, I can see that you are as well. Thanks again. Now to the covenant. To covenant is to commit that even if we fall short of our aspirations, we will not let go of them. We will never cease from trying again to live them out. In that spirit, gathered in person and online, will you all stand as you're willing and able and speak together our covenant aloud? We gather in fellowship to reach out and touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it. Thank you.
Good morning. Will you take a big breath with me? Every time we gather in this sacred Sunday morning hour, we're always gathering in a real moment, in a real time, right? And so I want to honor that yesterday, collectively, we all experienced a moment of political violence. And so I want to start today by reading into the room a statement from our larger Unitarian Universalist Association about it. And the reason for that is because it's a reminder that we're a part of a much larger community of liberal religious people committed to values, right? And people across the country and globe right now, fellow Unitarian Universalists, are sitting together in this very hour together and remembering our commitments to love and equity and truth and justice and each other, and also sinking into the real power of this deeper interdependence right here in this room together and across the country and globe. So here's what the UUA said yesterday. Unitarian Universalism believes in the right of free speech and the democratic process. Attacks like those at Saturday's political rally weaken democracy, and the Unitarian Universalist Association condemns this attack. At a time when democracy is already at risk, these events will only make our political environment more precarious. As we prepare to meet this moment, we must return to our spiritual grounding and faithful practice. Take a breath, reflect together, wait for emerging truth over quick speculation. Anchor yourself in communities and relationships that foster resilience, liberation, and strategy. Cultivate nuance and seek our deep wisdom, political analysis, and spiritual grounding, as misinformation will be rampant. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition is rooted in the values of human dignity, commitment to protecting our democracy, and the integrity of its principles and the rights of all people. Let us keep love at the center. We are in this together. That's the end of the statement. And part of being in this together, as they're inviting us, as I'm inviting us, includes honoring this sacred Sunday morning hour where we come together to sing and to pray and to feel, to hold all of what we're holding collectively, but also what we bring in as individuals and in this community. We come to fill up the well, and we still get to do that. It's important that we practice and do that today. to remind each other that love persists, that beauty is still present, and that what you do matters. So that when we go back to our weeks tomorrow, we're ready to face it all even more fully, knowing that we are held and held by that which holds all. Can you be in that practice with me this morning? Yeah? Okay. Let's take one more breath. And I call us to worship. I call us to worship this time where we bring our attention to the matters of the highest worth with these words from the Reverend Gretchen Haley. In this weary world, we too often wake wondering what shattering of the heart today will bring. And in this world, joy is an act of resistance, and singing too. Hope is a stubborn practice, an insistent assertion that not everything can be undone. So let us come now, determined to lift up our eyes to the beauty that remains. Even now, let us come to lift our voices with brave boldness. Let us lean into one another and our breath. With gratitude, let us be resolute in our reunion, feeling ourselves still here and together, unwilling to forsake forgiveness, kindness, friendship, love, unwilling to concede any part of ourselves or our world to anything other than grace and goodness. Look around to each other, to these mountains, and give thanks. Because everything we need is right here. And so come, let us worship together and let us sing.
Rise as you are able. Number 6. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Yes to love, yes to truth, yes to peace. So I'm going to invite us now into a time of prayer and a time of meditation. And today I'm going to invite the sound of the music, and I'll invite that to come on here soon. to help hold us and help rock us. And so there's this refrain, and Sam's going to sing it, we're going to sing it to learn it once, and then I'm going to offer some words of prayer throughout, and then we're going to invite you to sing. And if you'd like to sing, I invite you to sing. If you don't think you can sing, I invite you to sing. Okay? Yeah? Okay, good. So I invite you to find that space within you, and we can bring on the sound now. I think that'll hold us in a good way. Yeah. Music can hold us and hold what we hold. And so you're welcome to find your breath and maybe even close your eyes if that's a practice for you that supports you in sinking in and going inward. And an invitation here to notice what you bring in this morning. What is your life full of today and this morning? The joy, the sorrow, and all of it mixed together. Holding that, feeling your breath, maybe even noticing the breath of the person next to you. Let's start by learning and singing these words.
Join in as you feel where it's going. Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now. Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now. One more time. Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now. Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now.
Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of these great, big, beautiful mountains that are so old and ancient and have seen everything over and over and over and over again and can hold us all. Thank you so much for this time to be together in community, this time to remember that we're not alone in anything that we carry and anything that we feel or that we face. And to this great big holding of this community and to these mountains, we bring what is our suffering. Whatever it is this morning that is our pain or our struggle, we offer prayers for those that have conflict internally, and we offer prayers for peace for conflict all around us. May the cool waters of these high mountain lakes and rivers flow into wherever this conflict is and offer peace, connection. May we see ourselves more clearly. May we see each other even more clearly, and with it all be anchored in this great big love. And with all we carry here, we sing again.
Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now. Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now.
Ancestors, hold us. Remind us of this great, big, long story of all the people across cultures and time that have moved through difficulty and found each other again. Remind us of that strength, of that resilience, of the power of our long history of liberal religious values, of our interdependence, of the possibilities of equity and more love and more connection and more truth. And thank you so much for the beauty of this life. Thank you for the beauty of the cool mornings in Colorado, for the fresh cherries and the peaches. Thank you for laughter and water. And I invite you now to, if you can access it, if there's some part of this life, something beautiful, something good that you feel like you can access, a person, a moment, a memory, a place, a part of nature, I'm going to invite you now to, if you feel so called, to actually name it out loud. Water. My child, partner, family,
Friends.
friendship. Thank you so much. And let us sing together.
Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now. Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now.
Great Mother, Mother of us all, thank you so much for holding all of this, the joy, the sorrow, and everything we can't even name, but only feel. Thank you for this life. May our hearts be open. Even in the midst of everything we face, may we take a breath and see if can we soften, can we keep our hearts strong in the backs, but our hearts still, can they remain open? Help us to keep our hearts open to each other, to our partners and our children, to our community, to the stranger we'll meet. May our hearts remain open. May we be held every step along the way to turn towards each other, relationship, community, even more, to not pull back, but to lean in. For this and so much more, let us sing.
Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now. Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now.
Let's sing one more time.
Rock me in the arms of my
Really letting yourself sing. That's it.
divine mother. Rock me now. Rock me in the arms of my divine mother, divine mother. Rock me now.
Amen. We'll stay in this prayerful place as we move towards our ritual. For those meeting in person, I invite you in a moment to come forward as you feel so moved, starting with the back and coming down to the front. You're invited to silently take a stone to feel this earth, this part of this great mother in your hands. And maybe infuse it with your breath, with your thoughts, with your heart, with whatever it is that you carry. Something heavy to let go into the bed of the earth, or a celebration to nestle up alongside those in your community who might need some support. For all of our hopes and our griefs, we hold this space in love. placed a stone in there for all of those at home. You're here with us. Amen, amen.
In this world there's a whole lot of trouble, baby. In this world there's a whole lot of pain. In this world there's a whole lot of trouble, but a whole lot of ground to gain. Why take when you could be giving? Why watch as the world goes by? It's a hard enough life to be living. Why walk when you can fly? There's a whole lot of sorrow. In this world there's a whole lot of shame. In this world there's a whole lot of sorrow and a whole lot of ground to gain. When you spend your whole life wishing, wanting and wondering why, it's a long enough life to be living. Why walk when you can fly? In this world there's a whole lot of pain. In this world you've a soul for a compass and a heart for a pair of wings. There's a star on the far horizon, rising bright in an azure sky. And for the rest of the time that you're living, why walk when you can fly high?
Thank you so much. So beautiful. At 12 o'clock, Monday through Friday, we had chapel. This was in seminary. It was optional, of course. You didn't have to go to chapel. I often did because it was run by students, and it was sort of like an experimental laboratory for what worship could be. To think and to play way outside of boxes, breaking every rule for how we could engage together life's biggest questions. I went to school, to seminary, with a good amount of religious diversity. No tradition or denomination represented more than 10% of the student body. There was a solid contingent of Unitarian Universalists, Methodists, Presbyterians, Episcopalians, Lutherans, Baptists, a few Catholics, a few Jewish siblings and Muslims, one Hindu beloved, and a number of students straddling multiple traditions. I remember one worship service, one chapel led by a few UU students during the fall of Occupy Wall Street. Do you all remember Occupy Wall Street? The worship service, I went to school in New York City, so it was happening there. And the worship service began with a bunch of people lying on the floor, tucked into their sleeping bags, in the center of a circle of chairs. And they began the service reenacting a recent experience while camping at Zuccotti Park right before a police raid. Then there was this other service where my advisor, who was a nun, actually led communion. She blessed and broke the bread and welcomed everyone to the table, an act that would have actually gotten her excommunicated if found out. But there was one memory from those many chapel services that kept pushing itself to the front of my mind this week as I was sitting with this service and this message and this question of how we engage feelings and emotions as a religious tradition. And in this memory, it was when a friend of mine caught the Spirit, as in the Holy Spirit. Do y'all know this phrase, when someone catches the Spirit, right? She fell out, as one might say, right there in the middle of a song that I can't remember. Some people were standing, I think, and some part of her said yes to the fullness of her experience in that moment. Saying yes with her voice, speaking words over the music, saying yes with her body, stomping and reaching her heart to the sky. Although I don't know, but as I remember it now, I imagine she was feeling a mix of emotions: joy, acceptance, fear, awe, grief, gratitude, maybe 5 other things as she's speaking in tongues and yelling and moving her body. She caught the Spirit. Now, my inner self at that moment did not know what was happening. The well-trained New England Protestant part of me, having learned to contain and control, maybe this resonates with some of you, as opposed to allow and express. My hands were likely clasped calmly in my lap as I was sitting. It was unfamiliar. It was new. But instead of keeping me away, witnessing a woman and a friend take up so much space with her body and her emotions and her experience, it did just the opposite. It drew me right in. Now, I couldn't tell you how or by whom or exactly when I learned that emotions are meant to be contained. That they are somehow these distractions or these obstacles to living a rational life. I don't remember when I learned, as I imagine many of you did too, that some emotions are good: joy, love, excitement, wonder, good. Those are good over here. But that some emotions are bad: anger, fear, helplessness. I learned somewhere that tears are meant to be quickly dried with tissues, that rage is a problem, and that grief is only healthy if it looks a certain way and certainly doesn't go on too long. And certainly that someone yelling and stomping during church likely needed to be spoken to about possible disruptive behavior. I've been noticing recently how frequently people apologize for having emotion. Often it's tears, right? When there's such a swell of something happening inside and that there's nowhere else for the emotion to literally go but out the eyes, is how I like to imagine it. And then it's when the apology comes. As if to say, I'm sorry for feeling. As if to say, I'm sorry that I feel because I learned that I shouldn't, at least in public, that it's somehow inappropriate and doesn't have a place and that it cannot be received by those around you. Have you ever apologized for crying? Yeah, I have. We can glance at our own Unitarian Universalist history as one doorway into one of the roots of these really well-established stories. Old stories that don't just praise thought over feeling, but sometimes go as far as to say that your feelings shouldn't even be trusted. Before there were Unitarian Universalists, there were Unitarians, right, and Universalists, separate traditions that didn't come together until 1961. So if we jump back a few hundred years, we can see one moment of many when emotional expression of some of our religious and spiritual ancestors, the Universalists, very generally speaking, collided with the more rational expression of some of our other ancestors, the Unitarians. In the mid-18th century, a religious revival swept across Britain and the British colonies in reaction to the Age of Enlightenment, in reaction to the Age of Reason, in reaction to elevating reason above all else. But even more specifically, in reaction to elevating the words of highly educated and professionally trained clergy above all else and others in matters of religious experience and truth. This is the time that became known as the Great Awakening, a time of tent revivals and charismatic circuit-riding preachers, crowds catching the Spirit, shouting, trembling expressions from the pulpit and the pew. These, you have a visual, a little bit of a visual? These are the seeds of our tradition. These were Universalists, catching the Spirit all over the place. In part, Universalists carried forward this message that all people can have a direct and emotional connection with the sacred, with God, with Spirit, with capital T, truth, with capital L, life, whatever word works for you. God, Spirit, truth, life, the universe. This is part of our DNA as a religious tradition and as a people. The recognition of a personal, heart-centered, emotional experience as being a source of truth. And boy, do we need some of that, some truth right now. As is some of the well-documented Unitarian resistance to unbridled emotional experience in religious life. Like the words of Puritan minister Charles Chauncey, grandson of the second president of Harvard, and born to an elite merchant class in Boston. Chauncey spoke and wrote about these dangerous tendencies happening at revivals that had strange effects upon the body, such as, quote, swooning away and falling to the ground where persons have lain for a time speechless and motionless, shriekings, screamings, convulsions like tremblings, agitations, strugglings, and tumblings, which in some instances have been attended by indecencies I shan't mention. And Chauncey seemed especially concerned about what he termed the light and joy so many of late claim to be subjects of. He goes on to recognize a rightful place for a kind of quieter joy in religious life, but was very suspicious and a little shocked by the outright bursts of laughter he witnessed or heard about happening at these dangerous gatherings. Now, Chauncey, as well as many other Unitarians, helped to affirm the place of human reason in religious life, which I and perhaps you can celebrate. Super important, radical in its own right. And he represents a prominent thread of thought, an argument within our faith tradition that says that emotions are dangerous, that emotions are threatening to a certain kind of power and control, that expression in the body is dangerous and certainly not to be trusted, and definitely of a lesser value than thought, and somehow incapable with a life that also values reason. In the words of UU minister Reverend Dr. Marilyn Sewell, quote, "The shadow side to a rich intellectual life is our distrust of the body and of emotion." What I found myself wanting to yell at the page as I dug into these old stories, these familiar stories that emotions need to be controlled and should not be trusted, was embrace the and. Embrace the and. Instead of reason or emotion, why not reason and emotion? Far from being distractions or somehow an obsolete part of the human experience, as if an appendix, our emotions are sources of knowledge, really rich sources of information specifically for you in your life. In his essay, "My Feelings Are Not My Enemy," Miguel Clark Mallet reflects on his lifelong struggle to control his anger over a lifetime. Especially, he says, for someone Black and male, it was a dangerous way to operate in the world. He describes his anger and sadness warring within him, the journey through therapy and medication and self-help groups. Along the way, he writes, mainly because I couldn't escape my feelings, I began to pay more attention to them, to listen to what they had to tell me. And I started to see what my feelings did for me, not just what I thought they did to me. He goes on to say, my anger and my shame, my pleasure and my pain, my ecstasy and my anxiety, my joy and my despair help reveal my values, my motivations, my strengths, and my needs. I'm realizing we skipped our reading this morning, and I was just about to reference it. So it's a reading. I wonder if Ray has it. I can read it to you quickly. Do you have the reading, Ray? Yeah. Can I read it? Yeah. Can Ray jump in and do our reading real quick? Right here? Okay, come on.
I brought it up here after all that talk, yeah. Well, anyway. So this is a reading, whatever you want to call it, by Adrienne Marie Brown. I want to feel everything and meet all my feelings head on. I suspect that's impossible because there are so many valid feelings and so little time. But to live in the world at this highly interconnected moment and to be a part of a growing global self-consciousness seems to mean that we must increase our capacity for feeling our feelings. I have had the opportunity this summer of being given more things to feel than ever before. And by that I don't mean this has been the hardest summer of my life, but rather the most emotionally diverse and the fastest paced. It feels like each day grief dawns over me in multiple shades, and by nightfall the need for celebration is as steady as the moon. Anger flows over me like rain into a cloud. Joy breaks through often in solid beams of light. No day feels, per se, fair. And every day feels weighted, destined. And then, in every situation, I find so much complexity. I have to be in much more regular communication with my confidants in order to have a real conversation because of the complexity of it all. Recently, I have found myself trying to compress my feelings. By found myself, I mean the emotional equivalent of walking in on my heart in an overlooked closet, attempting to meditate atop a burlap bag, writhing with undeniable life. When I pulled my heart back into my chest, the bag opened, and out stepped a gorgeous, demonic creature, million-headed, glistening, raw, and ranging from meadow calm colors to a garish rainbow, singing to me in a sweet and clashing chorus of need.
Thank you, Ray. That piece, an excerpt from Adrienne Marie Brown, is called How to Feel a Feeling. So I do love that image at the end of that reading. So if I kind of picture it, she catches herself trying to stuff all the feelings into this burlap bag, right? Maybe you can relate. Maybe it's not a bag. Maybe it's another container, a jar, a tucked away closet, toss the key inside that you don't even know where it's located, maybe even more. And she finds herself trying to, I'm just going to meditate on, I'm going to piously sit on top of it, just like it's all like writhing underneath her, right? Meditating on top of life. Her life is in there. But when the bag opens and her heart comes back into her chest, out steps raw life. Which is beautiful, yes, but as we know, messy, complicated, sharp, and very colorful. Multi-headed life. Perhaps this is not that dissimilar to catching the Spirit, turning toward the honest rawness of life, the truth of a moment, of your real experience of life in a given moment, a given day, in the form of what you are actually feeling. Not what you want to be feeling, what you're actually feeling. Because the doorway to this knowledge and truth really does require our brutal honesty, even if it's just for you, to really honestly confess to yourself what you're feeling. Maybe it's jealousy, maybe you're scared, maybe it's loneliness or guilt, maybe it's joy, compassion, wonder, excitement. To truly feel the sadness of a loss and in the process learn what you love. To truly feel the resentment rising up in a relationship, communicating to you that your needs are not being met. To truly feel the anger in response to climate change denial or families detained at the border, reminding you of your unshakable values. allowing the emotions to share their message, their meaning with you, without denial and without mistrust. Now, one of the ways to harness the power and knowledge and wisdom of emotions is to acknowledge them with words, literally naming them, right? I feel sad. I feel disappointment. I feel relief. I know this isn't easy for most, but the good news is there's lots of tools out there to help us through the landscape of our internal worlds. These internal worlds that sometimes can seem really noisy or maybe confusing or maybe even dangerous or just really far away. One tool was actually commissioned by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism living in exile. He commissioned something called the Atlas of Emotion, envisioning a map to help us guide our way inside, as he said, a map of emotions to develop a calm mind. He asked some friends, some emotional scientists, and they created this interactive map to increase our vocabulary of emotions and to help illuminate the world within us. And the opening page of the Atlas of Emotions names very decisively that the first step toward emotional awareness is to name what you're feeling and why. Although simple, in a way, as I mentioned, naming our emotions can sometimes feel impossible or even daunting because it's rarely just one thing, right? It's often a mix. Like this very moment. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a lot of things today. I'm feeling a lot of things this week, these past couple weeks, longer than that, about the potential collapse of American democracy and the rights of anyone that doesn't have a lot of power and resources. I feel fear. I feel anger. I feel anxiety, uncertainty, worry, sometimes a really deep sadness. But sometimes also a kind of righteous anger that can feel empowering and help to chisel a clarity of vision for the path ahead. And other times I feel love, real experiences of love of people, of moments like when my 3-year-old ate many, many, many cherries yesterday with delight, just pure delight, cherry juice across their face, a particular gift that summer brings. There is a lot to feel right now. I wonder what you're feeling. Most of us, if not all of us, feel a wide swath of emotions at any given moment in every given day. It's why Adrienne Marie Brown names that she needs to talk to her friends even more frequently to even begin to untangle the things that are happening inside. And there's lots of other naming tools like the Wheel of Emotions. Has anyone ever heard of that? The Wheel of Emotions. Look that one up. It's great. You can search for it. Sometimes actually just literally looking at a list of emotions can help to figure out the one that you're feeling or most closely matches it. And also, the good news is that naming isn't our only option to acknowledge and to move through what we feel. After all, naming still relies on the mind as the primary tool. We actually have an abundance of tools, movement, music, art, hiking, dance, walking, yoga, moving an emotion through your body, like taking a walk when you start to feel the heat of anger or the weight of a big decision, knowing it, processing it, moving it through your body, playing or listening to music, singing, perhaps with a group of people on Sunday morning. It's like that song we sang in the prayer. It moves something in me. I don't even know why. And maybe I don't need to know why, and we don't need to know why. And so my invitation to you all this morning is to trust what you feel, that it's a source of truth, and we need more truth right now. Not because it's the last word, or the only word, but because it's here for a reason, a purpose, to show you something, to tell you something, and to take you deeper and more fully into yourself and into life. This life, full of the deep sadness and the toddler bursts of delight in this one tangled blessing we call life. Amen. May it be so.
When we sing hymns, I feel there is this commonly shared sense of decorum, poise, and taking a note from our message today, if you want, feel free to explore a different way of engaging with this practice. As we sing, you can rise if you want, hymn number 128. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services and gifts, sing out, for work and rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our lives, sing the words that come to you. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Offering time. As we have done in years past, during the summer months, we suspend our Share the Plate program. For the summer months, the proceeds go to the use of our ministries and programs here at UUCB. We will resume sharing our plate in the fall. I invite you to give as generously as you can, as you are able. And for those online, you may use the QR code or find a link in the video description. For those gathered in person, you can scan the QR code or make a donation directly to the ushers. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing justice and love to community Boulder. Thank you.
thank you so much for your gifts and all the ways that you serve each other in this community. Beloveds, as we leave this place, I invite you to practice taking up a little bit more space. A little bit more space with yourself, what you feel and how it wants to be in your body, knowing that it's going to look different for you and somebody else, getting the most curious about what you feel, like it's a thread, like a yellow brick road back to home, deeper into life, bringing you closer to truth. Go in peace, go in love. Amen.
All right. Let's go ahead and sing Go Your Way in Peace. Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take, may love guide you on your way. Go your way in peace, go your way in peace. Wander as you may, blessed is the path you take, may love guide you on your way. I'm not the clothes I'm wearing. I'm not a photograph. I'm not the car I drive. I'm not the money I make. I'm not the things I lack. I'm not the songs I write. I am who I am. I am who I am. There are true things inside of me I have been afraid to see. I believe. Help my unbelief. Would you say again what you said to me? I am loved and I am free, I believe. Help my unbelief. I'm not the house I live in. I'm not the man I love. I'm not the mistake
Thank you.